Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. As the nature of warfare continues to evolve, the skies have become the new battleground. Drones, cruise missiles, even hypersonic weapons, these are no longer threats of the future. They're here and are reshaping how nations defend themselves. In response, countries around the world are now investing heavily in advanced air defense systems, which are designed not just to protect the borders, but to shield populations and critical infrastructure from increasingly complex aerial threats. India's transformation in this space has been both swift and remarkable. From once relying heavily on imports, the nation is now emerging as a hub of indigenous innovation. During Operation Sindoor, the Akashteer system demonstrated India's growing capability, seamlessly intercepting a coordinated wave of aerial threats with unprecedented precision. Building on that success, India is now taking a bold step forward with Raksha Kavach, which is a next-generation multi-layered defense shield. Equipped with long-range surveillance, real-time command integration, and a formidable blend of both hard-kill and soft-kill technologies, it is a homegrown solution designed to neutralize threats across the modern aerial spectrum. And India is not alone. Israel's Iron Dome continues to prove its effectiveness under sustained fire, while the United States is now pushing technological frontiers with its Golden Dome, an ambitious system aimed at neutralizing threats from land, sea, air, and even space. So the message is clear. In today's conflicts, air defense is not just part of the plan, it is the first line of defense. So how are nations preparing for this new era of aerial warfare? How are they adapting, innovating, and securing their skies? That's the focus of this edition of Perspective. Joining me are three distinguished guests. So let me begin by introducing them to you. I'm delighted to have with us on the program Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor, retired. Lieutenant General Dr. V.K. Saxena, retired. He's a distinguished fellow at VIF. And Group Captain Dr. Rajiv Kumar Narang, Senior Fellow, Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defence Studies and Analysis. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Welcome to Sansad TV. Air Marshal Kapoor, let me begin the program with you. So what we've seen in Operation Sindoor, the IAF's integrated air command and control system was in a way the backbone of Operation Sindoor, bringing real-time coordination across the tri-services. From your experience, sir, what operational capabilities did the IACCS demonstrate that reflect India's shift more towards an anticipatory rather than reactive air defense?
Like you covered in your introductory remarks, and I'll reiterate before I answer your question, is that earlier the sky was defended, and now with passage of time, it has to be dominated. And we need speed, stealth, precision, and most important is unpredictability. So what happened is why we were able to achieve what we achieved in those 88 hours or 4-day campaign, as we call it, of Sindoor, is because of our innovations. Why the S-400, which we have procured from Russia, is not able to do as well in Ukraine war as it did exceedingly well in our 4-day conflict. The answer is our innovative skills to integrate our air defense system to the available equipment which we have. So what we did is we have certain equipment from Israel, we have certain equipment from Russia, and we have certain indigenous equipment. Now to integrate it on our air defense network, be it Akashteer, and to integrate sensor shooters, to linking it back to the IACCS, in my opinion, is the turning point which has taken the adversary by surprise. They never expected us to be so, and integration of the army air defense guns, the old surface-to-air missiles of Indian Air Force, which the enemy probably would have thought may not create that kind of a damage. The readiness with which we took on the swarm drones and the other projectiles, including missiles which were fired at us through our indigenous systems, has made the world look up to our air defense capabilities. And I think so that is what you mentioned in your introductory remarks. And we have a long way to go.
General Saxena, you've written extensively on the changing dynamics of warfare. I happened to read a couple of articles. From what we saw during Operation Sindoor, what are your thoughts? Do you think India's systems are now maturing into a more credible, layered shield? Because that's what is the need of the hour, given our geography, given the fact that we have two hostile neighbors, and we need to keep evolving our warfare given all of those challenges?
Really, Operation Sindoor has been a great validation of sorts. And one of the validation has been that today our air and air defenses have matured to a level that they are not only in the category of protecting certain vulnerabilities like VAs and BPs and critical assets. Today they are in air denial mode. We heard the DG, Army Air Defense, a few days back. In a gap of 4 days, in a period of 4 days, some 800 to 1,000 drones of all categories, small reconnaissance, tactical use drones, unarmed combat aerial vehicles, and dedicated platforms approached the Indian skies in a offensive manner. And not only on military targets, they were also dedicated on population centers and religious sensibilities. The very fact that all our airfields are intact, all our critical infrastructure is intact, except for 5 fatalities, most of the population centers are intact, shows our air defenses have come a long way. Now, what has changed actually? What has changed is our growing capabilities and our growing coordination. I will explain these two words separately. Growing capabilities is now the air threat is nothing new. Air threat has been there for many, many years, decades, and everything from our potential adversary. But what is the new dimension? The new dimension is that the unarmed aerial systems of various types and varieties have emerged as a potential air threat vehicles. Now, why these are a problem? I call them little monsters in my writings. Why they are a problem? They're a problem because the conventional air defense systems are which are meant to take on mainframe threat like like fifth, sixth generation aircraft, attack helicopters, cruise missiles, surface to surface missiles, and so on, are unable to detect the small drones which have a small radar cross section. That is one. And secondly, to kill them, there has to be a balance between the cost of kill and the cost of the threat. The cost of threat is few $100s. We cannot be launching a million missile. When the drones attacked the Russian air base at Khmeimim on 5th July 2018, they fired Pantsir missiles at 13 drones. They could only kill 6. 7 of them still came and 3 of them destroyed the assets at Khmeimim. But today, Indian air defense, what we have done, like the Air Marshal just brought out, from the old war horses of L-70. L-70 is not new. It is 1970s vintage. But what is new? The new in our weapon systems is the capability. Like for example, in L-70, today the upgraded weapons have got electro-optical fire control system, which has got a day camera, a night camera, a laser rangefinder, and a fire control computing device. They are capable to detect the drones both by soft and kill them by their fire. Also, don't forget that the drone, we also are building our soft kill capability. The DRDO has come out with integrated drone detection and integration system. 7 of them we have deployed. Air Force had deployed a large number of them made by a private industry and also the DRDO. Thirdly, this is capability. Coordination. What is coordination? Air Marshal just talked about. Everybody is talking about Akashteer, Akashteer. You have to see Akashteer in a trio of capability. What is this trio of capability? Air defense battles are very fast flowing battle. It requires a long range radars and sensors to look at the threat, analyze whether it is own or friendly, prioritize it which is most deadly to us, dedicate it to the concerned weapon, and ensure seamless fire on the threat till the time it is destroyed. All this in a matter of a few seconds and a minute. That's it. this capability is getting perfected in India. You know that the responsibility of air defense of the Indian national airspace is that of Air Force. Their capability of controlling the air defense battle is, you talked about that word, integrated air command and control system, is getting integrated with the army's portion of battle management and control system, which is called Akashteer, and the navy system is called Trigun. So this whole chain has matured. Today, Akashteer is sitting pretty. Why? Because it has got a seamless connectivity with integrated air command and control system. And don't sit complacent on it. Everything is not done. A lot of integration still required. Lot
Absolutely.
of
General, about the future-oriented strategies we'll talk about in the next round. Let me bring in Dr. Narang into the discussion as well. Taking on from what you said, in fact, where you left at, Dr. Narang, so for this integrated air defense that General Saxena referred to, Operation Sindoor was in a way real-world test bed. What, in your view, made this operation a turning point for India, not just tactically, but also in how we now think about air defense in a future conflict scenario?
Operation Sindoor was provided an opportunity to test and validate what we thought were our capabilities. And remember, drones have really changed the trajectory of many nations. If you look at Armenia, Azerbaijan, Armenia lost war because it could not defend attacks against drones. And secondly, it brought drones in this region which were never thought. And it showed the employment of drones in such large numbers could be defended if you had made an effort in developing technologies. Automation, smart munitions, multi-sensor, multi-shooter systems really came of age. In India, which is used to going to outside to defend its nation whenever we faced an emergency, in this situation, we did not have to go outside for defending against enemy attacks. We found our own solutions. Of course, we had some of the technologies acquired from our friendly foreign countries. And third, we had a collaboration with our friendly foreign countries. It was an example of Barak, or even if you look at our missiles which we have got, BrahMos. So these systems have come with a consistent and concerted effort to develop capabilities. Another enabler which I found was Meher Baba Swarm competition of the Indian Air Force, which really brought swarm technologies which we had, and if we wanted, we could have employed. Innovation for Defense Excellence is another initiative. So a lot of systems which you see have been outcome of some of those things. Say integrated counter US system, which people were talking about, has been an outcome of Indian smart startups and innovator developing technologies which provided us these capabilities. Right. And if you look at Akash and other medium range and long range missiles, indigenous missiles and radars, they have been hard work of decades of hard work of DPSUs and DRDO been developing some of those technologies. So public-private collaboration has really proved the way. But let's understand that it is not a real indication of what the wars in future are going to be seen. We will see much more employment of unmanned system. We will see much more employment en masse in future. And probably if they become prolonged, the defense will become expensive. So we will require a low cost counter storm capabilities. We require some of the capabilities which were in the initial stage. Let's say we used a Bhargavastra counter drone system which had multiple micro rockets, and they were tested. I'm sure we will be upgrading them to develop future capabilities. And remember, if we are talking of two front and two and a half front scenario, we will need much more counter drone systems and capabilities. Otherwise, it is going to become very, very difficult to defend against an adversary which is determined. And the one capability which probably we have not spoken about is attack is the best defense. Remember, we had a lot of air activity from adversaries in the first 2 days. But when we struck their critical infrastructure, we struck their airfield, we struck their radars, we struck their critical launching pads. Now that put really Pakistan under pressure. And we realized the significance of attack in or active defense by striking their critical infrastructure. So it was not only a defense in depth, it was also a defense in offense, which provides us some capability. And innovations at all levels by the private sector, academia. In fact, Indian Air Force came up with a summer system where they modified the air-to-air missiles into a counter-air system because they were expired. So I think that was a wonderful innovation done by the Indian Air Force. So after Meher Baba, they, BRD, base repair depots, developing an air-to-air missile into surface-to-air air defense system. I think it was wonderful.
Absolutely. Yes. And I think what you're suggesting, the fact that our shift towards indigenous tech-driven defense has not just helped us move towards a more self-reliant, becoming more self-reliant in the defense sector, but also a shift in the mindset, which the confidence and the capability that our forces demonstrated during Operation Sindoor and then following the escalation as well. Air Marshal, I'll come back to you and I'll try and understand the next aspect about the development of Raksha Kavach. So India, we are now hearing, is clearly investing in a new generation of defense technology. From your experience, how do you see command and control evolving in such a system, especially now that we are talking about a battlefront which is flooded with drones, high-speed threats from our adversaries?
The two fellow panelists have brought out a lot of issues, and now, as per the discussion, we'll build it up. As they say, the future of war will be now bytes in cloud, BYTES, bytes in clouds. That will be beams, drones, algorithms, and interceptors. So this is the future warfare which will take shape. And both the countries which you mentioned in your introductory remarks, US and Israel, I have spent a lot of time and effort in developing all this, because Israel, as you are aware, is facing the same issue of drones attack and swarm drones attacking their airspace for many years now. So they have taken help of the Americans, and they have developed certain things in their own way to defend. And a lot of help the Indian establishments, both the government and the private sector, did take for integration of these equipment. There is no doubt in that. Now, coming to a specific question, as mentioned, the artificial by the general also, the artificial intelligence is going to play an important role in coming days. The sensor to shooter integration, which weapon either the Leh guy will fire, or the one in Bathinda will fire, or the one in Jodhpur will fire, the one in Bhuj will fire, one in Sar Creek will fire, which shooter will fire to which target, at what range. This is processed in microseconds. So the real-time data transfer is one thing which we will have to work in all our platforms. The S-400s which we got, not all have come until now, but has turned out to be one of the finest purchases. And in one passing, I would like to mention two people who are not with us in this world today. One is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, to whom I attribute BrahMos and Akash, and Dr. Manohar Parrikar, who was the Raksha Mantri at that time, who fought tooth and nail in the parliament to get us S-400s and Rafales, which started, the S-400 started to come in 2021, which have actually made a huge difference in this 4-day conflict. All these things have made, and it is the visionary leadership. And I suppose now the DRDO, the BEL, the other PSUs, private sector, the MSMEs, the startups, the collaborative effort which is coming in now will have to work on command and control system, on sensor fusion linking, on air defense radar, and the satellite linking to the shooters. This thing. The next thing which the DRDO is also working is on laser and directed energy weapons. That is the future now. Like the general just pointed out, that we should not waste our money on weapons or drones which are very cheap. We should be able to do soft kill, or we should be able to take out through lasers or directed energy weapons at other level. So for this, DRDO is working on Aditya, And DRDO is also working on hypersonic concepts. That is the wind tunnel test of HSDTV. This will take some time to come. The drone and swarm drone. You can't have a better person than Gopi Narang, who is on the panel now, to cover this in detail. He will, if you can ask him, he can cover about SMASH 2000 and the anti-drone system, the ADS, which we are developing. So in my opinion, the Indian satellites have to come up now. They did an exceedingly well job, but we have a long way to go. The RISAT, the Cartosats, and the integration of DRDO and ISRO has to go in the coming days. Plus the joint development which India is doing with Israel, be it Barak series, be it Spider, be it Heron, other DWs will have to step up along with the integration of artificial intelligence in defense. And in my opinion, this is the way ahead for our country to be ready for the next conflict. And nobody knows when it will begin next.
Absolutely. Taking on from where you left at, Dr. Narang, my next question to you is, because modern threats are now multi-domain, as Air Marshal rightly said, they'll come not just from the sky, from the sea, there will be cyberspace wars, potentially even from orbit. So how is our Raksha Kavach that we are in the process of designing, how will it take care of all of these multi-domain challenges? Is it agile enough to handle this kind of futuristic war that we are talking about?
See, you must understand what happened in this war. Remember, we were facing drones which were coming, loitering drones. They were coming in swarms, and there were missiles being intercepted. In addition, we were also striking the enemy targets deep inside using standoff technologies. And we were monitoring their assets like AEW aircraft which were flying, and we were able to come and strike. So it was an integrated kind of system which have been developed over a period of time by integrating systems from various manufacturers around the world. So I think a lot of credit goes to our scientists, engineers, and users who have come up with a system which is able to integrate various systems and provide us a secure solutions. S400 integrated with IACCS, Akashteer. In fact, Army air defense networks were not connected. So integration of Akashteer with IACCS is a very, very major reform which has taken place in the recent past. And BEL played a key role in developing the Akashteer, which can be integrated to IACCS. Similarly, there were systems like D4 counter drone system, integrated drone detection and interdiction system. These systems have evolved with experience. Initially, it was D4, now it is IDDDA and IS and Bhagavastra. So I think we are evolving, but what we need to do for future. These swarms will increase, these missiles will increase, and we will have to ensure we are able to defend in a assured manner, accurate manner. So 7 reforms or 7 future steps which we need to focus is, one problem we faced was we were not able to distinguish whether the drones flying were own civilian or the military owned military versus the foreign. So, or the adversaries. So there is a need for unmanned traffic management system, civil, military, both. Similarly, seeing the capability of the guns, I think we need to come up with more indigenous guns, like replacement of L-70 with more automation. Probably tomorrow we will need 4 guns are integrated together and each taking on each target, like similarly Zu-23 and Chilka's indigenous variant. Similarly, smart anti-drone munitions. Remember, it is not only the equipment, it is also the munitions. So advanced munitions we will have to develop. Higher automation we need to do it so that they can take on multiple tasks. Quick reaction surface-to-air missiles or short-range air defense systems, we have to develop future variants. And helicopters and own aircraft being equipped with counter-drone system. It is going to be critical because helicopters operate very close to the border. And if they face these drones, which normally these systems are not equipped, they can be vulnerable. And there's a very much need that our aircraft have the counter-drone system capability to detect, identify, and track. I think what we must understand is a lot of these things have been made possible because of defense reforms undertaken by the Ministry of Defense. Yes. And 2025-26 has been declared as a year of defense reform. So I think urge, since we are in the year of defense reforms, we must bring R&D vertical in Department of Military Affairs, headquarter, integrated defense staff. Indian Army should, and Indian Air Force and Indian Navy should upgrade their design directorate to R&D directorate, because these reforms will play a critical role. And last point I want to mention is bringing in of research and development in the civil drone and civil aviation sector. Remember, people are talking of civil military fusion, and that is possible if our civil aviation sector contributes to building capabilities together with the military, and we can have a better air defense and better aviation and counter aviation capabilities.
Absolutely. General Saxena, Dr. Narang has spoken extensively about, how consistent efforts over the last few years have resulted in our defense systems being strengthened. Their capabilities have been demonstrated as well. But once again, that brings me to the question on India's strategic geography and to match the threat landscape. What key capabilities, according to you, should we now, or what do you think are integral to further strengthening that system? Because as we've been saying, the war is not over yet. The government is also mentioning that Operation Sindoor has only been paused because we are facing an adversary which refuses to relent, and also looking at the futuristic challenges. What would your suggestions be?
See, remember, if you watch...
General Saxena, Dr. Narang, that question is for General Saxena.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have just written a piece by saying, and the caption of that piece is, "Bask the glory, get up and move on." This Op Sindoor has demonstrated a certain level of capability, while at the same time it has brought out a area of gaps where we have to improve, where we have to go forward. As the groupie was just bringing out, there are a lot of areas. First of all, let us start with the fact that drones have emerged as a major air threat vehicle of tomorrow. If that be so, what we need to develop largely are the capabilities in diverse identification of drones. These are not only just some radars, it is electro-optical systems, it is RF detection system, it is infrared detection system, it is also acoustic system. Today our radars become vulnerable. 800 or 400 or 500 to 800 drones come. What is their aim? Their aim is to saturate our system, as also make our radars open up. When our radars open up, the bigger drones, the more capable combat vehicles come and take them on one-on-one. So what is the inference? The inference is to go in for passive radar detection. Passive radar. And as the groupie Narang just said, we are moving in that direction. I am so proud to tell you today that passive radar, electro-optical, infrared, acoustic detection are all moving forward. We need to proliferate in large number. Second thing which we are not realizing is that this is a very short trailer. It's a trailer. Remember, when you're talking about 2.5 front war, we need to proliferate these systems in very large number. Today, Indian Army Air Defense is talking about 7 integrated counter drone and interdiction systems. We not 7, we require 70. We require on Western front, we require on Northern front with this. Thirdly, don't just restrict to only the soft kill and the hard kill. We have to go for, as the Air Marshal said, directed energy weapons. Our DRDO is already working on anti-UAS HPM, high power microwave Mark 1 and Mark 2. There are certain, I will not be able to bring out here, that is classified, certain gaps in bringing up that system to the mark. We need to build up that system. So we have to build up the sensors, we have to build up the capability to shoot, and we have to build up the capability of our own survivability against defense. Also, one more capability is, do not only forget that air defense is the only one which is taking on the threat of the drones. The electronic warfare system, the SIGINT systems which kill them silently also need to grow. Somebody talked about the defense private sector. You know that just take a name of a company, Zen Technologies Limited. This company has come out with a counter US system which is comparable to the world class. It is also inducted in our armed forces, and today it showed up beautifully in Operation Sindoor in bringing down drones. We do not require one company, we require 100 companies to come up and build this whole edifice of counter drone system. And do not only forget that counter drone or drones is the only threat. The earlier conventional threat has not gone anywhere. We talked of J-10, we talked of P-15, we talked of other fifth generation aircraft being sold to Pakistan and so on. Don't forget that the gaps in our air squadrons, the gaps in our ground-based air defense in terms of the man-pad, shoulder-fired air defense system, the Group Captain Narang talked about the futuristic gun. The futuristic gun is coming up for trial. What ammunition we are talking about? It is firing a smart ammunition, which is called the PFFC, pre-fragmented cubed ammunition. What is that? Ammunition, moment the round is fired, it fragments into many different splinters, and it increases the fire effect at the target end. PFSC ammunition is a smart ammunition which must be inducted in our futuristic guns, and also the guns which have tremendous fire capability. You know, there is a weapon system called Shilka weapon. It's an old 1967-70 vintage, but it is capability to fire 3,400 rounds per minute per barrel. Now that sort of a fire effect is required if you have to bring down a swarm drone. Effective fire effect. We have to find futuristic weapon systems which can kill, which can create that.
Certainly. So there are critical gaps that need to be filled. We've taken significant strides in the last decade or so in developing homegrown systems. The need now is to further and better integrate R&D, startups, also the private sector innovation into the development of air defense technology, something that our panelists also suggested, so that we are not just reactive, but globally competitive as well in shaping the future warfare. With that, we'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of Perspective. Thank you once again to all my guests for joining us on the program, sharing your thoughts with us and our viewers. And to you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.
To watch more programs of Sansad TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share them.